You're listening to the Adventurous Reinvention Podcast. I'm Allison Boyle, aka She Dreams of Alpine, and this is the show that's dedicated to all the adventurous spirits out there who have either been transformed by the outdoors or are interested in what it looks like to step into a new, adventurous, and courageous kind of identity in their life. It doesn't matter what your background is in the outdoors, what age you're starting at, or where you grew up. If you're curious about the outdoors and using adventure as a way to reinvent yourself, you're in the right place. I'll be sharing all kinds of personal adventure stories, lessons I've learned from the mountains, teaching what I know about the outdoors and leadership, and interviewing some amazing adventurous women all along the way. I've been coaching women on becoming safe, confident, and self-sufficient backpackers and leaders of their own adventurous lives since 2018, and I know exactly what big fears and self-doubts can pop up along the way. I have so much to share with you, so let's dive in. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Adventurous Reinvention Podcast. You are listening to episode 60, and this is a little bit more of a free-form podcast episode. I thought it might be interesting for you to kind of get a little behind-the-scenes update on me, what I'm working on, just from the perspective of helping you feel inspired and renewed energy, and maybe just see what's going on with me, what I'm thinking about, what I'm working on in my personal life. Things that I'm really excited for right now. And so I wanted to just do a bit of a personal share episode. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today, a little bit more off the cuff than usual. I prepared a few notes for myself just to stay on track, but I usually prepare a little bit more. But this one is just going to come a little bit straight from the heart. And they all do, but this one's a little bit even more off the cuff, off the dome, okay? So me and my team just wrapped up. We literally had our last call for this program, our Adventurous Reinvention Experience program. That is our 4-month coaching program that we run over the summer that ends in an in-person backpacking adventure. It's one of our kind of most high-touch programs where we do not only deep personal work with women who are looking to reinvent different aspects of their life, or do an identity shift, or step into something new, whatever that is, shake things up. Everybody kind of goes on their own personal journey with that, and also go on a really epic adventure together, make a really close-knit group of friends, all of those things. So that's what that program is. And as we go through that program, I walk my clients through our Adventurous Reinvention kind of curriculum and my process for this and how I think about it. And for me, this kind of work is ongoing in my life. This is a process that I use all the time, especially when I'm in a phase where I want to grow or expand or step into new possibilities. I'm always being really malleable and creative and thinking about what I desire and what I want to pursue and what I'm curious about. And so this adventurous reinvention process that we walk our clients through, every time we go through it in the summer, I'm also going through these exercises with them. And so this year I was thinking about what I personally, while we were kind of walking our clients through that process, I'm what am I being called towards right now? Because last year, I actually shared on the podcast a little bit of something similar that I was working on last year. I was working on stepping into kind of reigniting my desire and rewiring my relationship with my fear of lead climbing. You can go to that episode. I kind of explain all about that goal a lot more in episode 8. I think I recorded it at the end of 2024. It was a reflection of that year. But that year I was really focused on, I've always been climbing about as long as I've been backpacking. And my relationship with climbing has been good, but like always different focuses. Like, so sometimes I've been focused on sport climbing and sometimes, bouldering. And sometimes I'm like just kind of maintaining and not really pushing the envelope at all. And it's just something I've always really enjoyed. It's a way I've always really enjoyed moving my body. And last year I really wanted to get back into lead climbing, which is a little bit more like higher stakes. And you do take falls if you like are pushing your limit a little bit more. And I had a lot, like prior to last year, I had a lot of fear of falling. Like I just would get in my head, and even on climbs that I'm like very, very capable of doing, I would freak out for whatever reason in my mind. I would have a lot of mind drama, and that emotion would take over my body, which would take over that whole experience that I was having on the wall. So I was like, I'm determined to make this more fun and really like enjoy it and see what comes out of it. And I talked again all about that goal last year at the end of that, in that episode 8. So if you are curious and you're climbing curious or you're facing the same thing, you can go listen to it there. And it really worked for me. Like I feel so much more confident as a lead climber, and it didn't take me very long. I also developed some really great climbing friendships, and it really like just opened me up. And this year I've just been kind of riding that wave of like, I'm really digging the lead climbing. I'm digging the sport climbing. I want to do more. And it was interesting at the end of 2024, for some reason, I don't really know what it was specifically, but some of the original climbing friendships I had made in 2024, like it just seemed like our life focuses had diverged, or like people were just busy, and it just wasn't aligning very much with me and their schedules to like meet up consistently and climb. So I found myself in this place again where I needed to make new climbing friendships. And I'm coming back to the point eventually, so bear with me. But I needed to make new climbing friendships. And so I decided our local gym, they do these like leagues, bouldering leagues, adult sport climbing leagues. They do these competitions. They do a lot of different events, which is super cool. And I decided to sign up for an adult bouldering league. And I had never been to one. I was a little bit nervous about it because I didn't know what to expect. So I went there and I ended up having a blast. It was like 6 weeks long. Every week we would meet on a Wednesday. I started making a bunch of friends from there. And then there's this one girl at Adult Bouldering League that I just really jived with. I really liked her energy. And I remember we were hanging out, and I had enjoyed this Adult Bouldering League so much that I decided to sign up for their sport climbing league as well. And I was like, this will be great. And so at our last day of Bouldering League, I mentioned to her that I also signed up for sport climbing league. And she was like, so did I. And I was like, oh, great. Like, you like sport climbing too? Because a lot of times I meet people, they only like bouldering or they only like sport climbing. It's not usually they like both. I love both, so I like having both in my life. She was like that too. She loves bouldering and she loves sport climbing. So I was like, oh my gosh, well, if you ever want to sport climb sometime, I'm like looking for a partner in that. And Michael at the time, who in the past has historically, like that's my husband, has been my partner in the outdoors and climbing and stuff. But he was going through, he had a meniscus tear earlier in the year, so he was recovering. And her husband was training for an ultra run. And so all of his time was consumed with running. And so we found ourselves in this place where it's like perfect situation, perfect alignment. We actually climbed at a really similar grade level, had a lot of really similar goals. And from that point, we started climbing like weekly, multiple times a week together. And our friendship just really formed over the summer. So as I was going through this Adventurous Reinvention Experience program with my clients, I started talking to my friend Charlie, and I was like, it would be really fun if we, locked in on some type of goal. I'm like, what have you always wanted to achieve in your climbing? And she was like, I've always wanted to lead a 512 outside. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never really considered that for myself. Because I've always just seen myself in my climbing journey. I've always just seen myself as somebody who enjoys climbing. I'm averagely good, but I'm not this is not a negative reflection I'm having of myself, but this is just kind of how the identity I had around my climbing. Like, I'm not that good. Like, I could never climb a 512. Like, that just seemed like this elusive kind of goal that I would like not be able to do without, like, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's not something I had really put on my radar. But as soon as she said it, I was like, this is my reinvention work. I was like, why not me? Like, basically that was what it was. So I sat on it for a week and I was like, okay, 512. Because like in my brain, I was like, well, let's set the goal to 511 outdoors, because I still haven't really led any 11s outside, and we'll just go from there and see how it goes. But I'm like, why not a bigger goal? Like, what if I just entertained the idea of a wildly, currently out of my league climbing goal? What if I could be somebody who can lead harder climbing grades like 512? Like, why not me? And I sat with that and I told her, like, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's make this the goal. And I'm definitely like not there yet. You know, even at the gym, like, we'll get on 512 sometimes and dabble on them, but like, I'm not currently at the level where I am able to lead a 512 in the gym clean. And I would say climbing in the gym is arguably easier than what you do outside, especially from a mental aspect, like fear level, and just like feels a little bit more higher stakes. Anyways, so my reinvention work that I've decided to step into for the rest of 2025 and into 2026 is to become a woman who can lead a 512 outdoors, like clean, without falls. Like, obviously on my way to get there, I will have falls on a 512, but like that's like the big goal. And I've also told my clients, like, something that's really important to me with this particular goal is that it stays really fun all along the way, because I know that some climbers get in their head about these big goals or these numbers and like kind of make it more of an ego thing, like maybe not even intentionally. But for me, I'm not interested in doing this for an ego perspective. It's more just like, would be really cool to figure out what that growth looks like for me. And I think I just enjoy climbing so much. Like, I just think it can only not be fun if I let my ego get in the way. So I really am interested to figure it out. And so since like August, so we wrapped up our Adventurous Reinvention Experience trips, like our in-person trips of that experience, at the beginning of August. And when I got back, me and my friend Charlie started our training plan. So we have actually, like, at the time of recording this, we have been training for about 4 weeks now. And I'm like super stoked right now. Like, I'm just so on fire for this goal. And I feel like the reason this goal calls to me so much, and it's just like calls my curiosity, and there's like so much desire behind it, because it calls me to step into a version of myself that is like actually required to grow. Like, it's not just this small step I'm taking. And I think I've spent like maybe the last couple of years or few years being in this really comfortable place. Like, if you can go back and listen to some of my very first podcast episodes, those years, like becoming my first steps into becoming outdoorsy and starting my own business, these were massive little chunks of growth periods. And in between, you kind of have like these stabilization periods. I think that's super normal. I think I've been in a very stabilization sort of period, normalizing, like solidifying the identities that I'm in. And like, you know, that's been great. And now I'm really excited about some massive action, some growth, some discomfort, because when you pursue big goals, there's massive discomfort and a lot of failure. And I'm just really excited for that right now. It's so funny, like, to think, but this goal of 512, like, it asks a lot of me in different ways. Like, it's asking me to be really intentional about how I show up to each of my weeks, because I need to get my training in each week. We do 3 days at least. And then sometimes we have a weekend where we'll like go outside, not every weekend, but 3 days at least of training. And those training days are sometimes 3+ hours in the gym. So it's like I have to be very intentional with how I plan my week, how I show up, the things that I say no to and the things that I say yes to. Like sometimes people have invited me to things and I'm like, I can't, I'm training. And that is like my priority right now. It's what I've decided is really important to me. I remember we got invited to like, go out to dinner and get drinks. And I was just like, I will go out to dinner. That is fine. That's not a big deal. Like I'm excited to do that with my friend, but I like am not drinking. I'm going to get a Diet Coke because I have training tomorrow and I like want to feel my best for it. So how I show up to my week, I'm also really being like one of the things I want to kind of develop is being really intentional with my meal planning and supporting like muscle growth and feeling energized. So I have been pre-planning my meals each Sunday, getting my groceries done on Sunday, like meal prepping things so that I'm not resorting to things last minute. That's like a new way of showing up for me. Showing up to training even when I don't want to. I've been really thinking about like being intentional with my time, not like scrolling quite as much or Netflix binging when I haven't, at least planned to do so. Like, of course I have downtown time planned, but it's like more intentional. Being really thoughtful about my sleep hygiene because especially on the days that I'm training, like I kind of need 9 hours on those days. I have noticed I tried to get by with like 8 hours one week of my training. And I was so much more tired on those after those training days. I needed like the 9 hours. So I've been, making adjustments along the way, being really intentional when I'm working because I don't have as much free time in the evening to catch up on work that I didn't do because I have 3-hour training sessions. I'm stepping into the identity of somebody who's like willing to do the slow burn work and fail a lot because I do not know exactly what it's going to take for me to get to 512. I have guesses. This is reinvention work at its core. It's like you pick a possibility you want to step into or an identity you want to step into. The how is not always so clear. You have your best guesses and then you try them and you fail and you like learn from the failures and then you try something again and you just keep kind of doing that, right? I don't know if this goal is going to like take me, 3 months, if it will take me 6 months, if it will take me a year. Like, I don't know. I'm just doing my best each week and like learning each week and taking notes each week and showing up. That is kind of the process. Right. And so I'm willing to do that slow burn work. I'm willing to fail a lot right now. I'm also really working on something I've talked to my clients in the Adventurous Reinvention Experience a lot is just really expanding my capacity for more in a like non-burnout way, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I am learning to step into a version of me who learns how to redirect my brain's automatic thoughts that are like, this is too hard, I don't know how, or I'm too tired, right? Because our brain is hardwired for like efficiency and like not embracing discomfort. Like it wants to be safe, it wants to be like comfortable, it wants to take the easy route. So naturally these things come up for us as humans, like it's too hard, I'm too tired, like this is too much, right? So I'm learning to also step into the version of me when I have those very human thoughts, redirects those thoughts into like capability and the energy that I do have and the desire that I have for this. And I kind of talked about this in my last episode on uphills, which seems unrelated to this, but it is related in that aspect of the mindset. So I'm like really learning to expand my capacity. And, examples of this is like, sometimes I won't feel like going to these training sessions, but, I'll just remind myself like, oh my gosh, this is so good for me. Like I am just learning so much. Like it's going to be so fun. I'm there with my friend. Like I'm just re-tapping into my desire all the time. And also for me, this season that I'm like stepping into with this goal is a little bit of like putting my money where my mouth is. Like I never have really put 512 on the radar, but I have always wanted to like up level my climbing. And I almost feel like setting the bar even higher is just making me try like bigger things than I would have tried before. And it is an area I feel like I've been coasting in for a while, and I'm like ready to just show up bigger for it and like match the words that I say that I want with the actions that I'm putting in. So basically, I am just genuinely right now excited to evolve into a new level of capacity, energetic capacity for myself, and also like climbing capacity and strength and all of these things and all the hard work that it involves. And yeah, fighting for this possibility to exist in my life. So far, I told you this has been like about 4 weeks in the making, like kind of started in early August. You know, we created a training plan. Like we worked with one of our close friends on helping us maybe set up a training plan to support us, like a 8 week block that we've been doing every week. We're in week 4 right now. We started training, you know, right after my trips. I'm already seeing like big gains in like the lead climbing that I'm doing. Like I track the stuff that I did at the beginning of our training, and I'm starting to be able to do some of those climbs clean that I wasn't able to do clean, like without falls. So that's really fun to see that happening. You know, I've been meal planning every Sunday. I mentioned that already. High protein, feeling really energized, feeling really strong in that department. My friend and I, Charlie, like our very first week of this training plan, we also went out to Shelf Road, which is a local climbing area that's quite close to us in Colorado Springs, like an hour away. And our friend had mentioned a 512 that they thought we might enjoy scoping out. And so we went and we actually decided to set a top rope on it, and we worked the moves. That was our very first week. So we're like already getting on potential projects, and that one is really exciting. I think we're going to go back to it again soon and get on it again. And, you know, in the process, we're like also doing some other fun things. Like we signed up for a rock climbing competition at the end of September, just to kind of like, we don't know how long it will take us and how many training blocks it will take us to get to that level where we feel strong enough to get on that 512 or do that 512 lead. So we're like, it'll be fun to have little goals in between. So we set up this, we signed up for this competition, you know, just for fun and joy and all of these things. We're also planning an end of the year climbing trip, like maybe going out to California, maybe going to Bishop, maybe going to Vegas, and climbing out there. I have a client trip coming up in May of 2026 to Kalymnos. Very excited to go with clients there. We also do our, you know, Joshua Tree retreat with our clients in March. We'll be doing that again this year. And then another like random fun goal that has kind of come out of this, or a new possibility even, is like there is this fun competition called Horseshoe Hell, which is something I would have never thought about signing up for in the past, but with the right climbing partner and feeling super strong and like just being really stoked on climbing, it sounds really kind of fun. And basically it's like you try to climb as many climbs as you can in this area. I forget where it's located, but yeah, you do as many as you can, and a 24-hour period. So that would be really interesting as well. So yeah, again, I have no idea how long it will take me to hit that goal. You know, maybe sooner than I think, maybe longer, but the whole process of it all has already been like so worth it. And that is something that I talk to my clients about all the time. Like we need to really imagine that, you know, the end goal, the destination, it really isn't the point. It's like those little things in between. It's the becoming of the person who can achieve the goal. So for example, like things that I like to think about when I do set these like bigger possibilities for myself, or like, what places might this goal take me? Like what people will I connect with along the way? What new friendships like might I make? What failures will I have that like teach me something new? What new things will I learn? What habits might change for me? How might my body and my strength change? Like what will I have to release to call this like goal into reality? What will open up for me in the process? Like these are the things, the little things in between that are the result of setting that bigger goal for yourself and stretch goal and growth goal, and almost make the achievement of the goal as just like a cherry on top. And that's how I kind of like to approach new possibilities. Like, yes, it will be so cool to like achieve the goal of like leading a 512 outside clean. But for me, a lot of the magic will come in the journey of getting there. And I'm like already seeing that. So the other thing that I just wanted to note kind of before wrapping up this little mini update personal episode is that I just wanted to be really clear. Like, I think sometimes when you hear people talk about big goals, it's like the idea of like, oh, she's really honing in on her discipline comes up. Like, she's very disciplined, or they're very disciplined. And I think that discipline is maybe like the wrong way to look at setting big goals, because I think discipline feels like a lot more rigid and can often lead to burnout, because discipline is almost like forcing yourself to do something. For me, the experiment that I'm like using this whole possibility to play around with is using desire as the fuel, not discipline. So it's like anytime I start to notice like thoughts of feeling like, oh, I'm tired, this is a lot, or like, just the brain doing what brain does, I'm just like reminding myself of like why I'm really excited, getting stoked on the goal, like tapping into that desire to energize me through this, because it is like, this is an expanded amount of energy I'm like putting towards this than I have in the past. And I don't want it to like lead to something that's burning me out. I want it to be something that continues to like excite me. And the only way to do that is continuously like practice redirecting my brain, tapping into the purpose of it and the vision of it and then excitement of it, like the possibility of it, all of those things. So, a really like small example of this is the other day when my friend Charlie and I were training, it was our first week of doing we had at the end of our session, we were doing like sets of pull-ups and sets of lock-offs, and we were just not enjoying it. It was hard. We had just bouldered for like an hour and a half, and we were tired and we were like getting hungry, and we noticed each other, like both of us were equally complaining, and we were like, this is not the way. Like, we have weeks and weeks of this same training plan in place, and if we constantly complain about this section of our training plan, we will not enjoy it. And so we started just like tapping into that desire. We're like, this is good for us. Like, we are going to really like be glad that we did these things, and this is going to help so much with this. And we started just talking about all the things, and then we were like getting giggly and like kind of goofy with it, but it was like helping us get through the session. It made it fun again. It was also similar, like at the end of every session, we do planks, like a set of planks for abs at the end. And at the first week, we were both like, oh, I hate abs. And it's so funny, after week 4, we've started redirecting that, and we're like, I quite enjoy finishing our session with planks. Like, it's just this lovely way to finish each of our training sessions. So that is what I'm practicing, like using desire to keep fueling me forward, especially with this really long vision goal, because it's not going to be a quick win. It's going to be a lot of failures and a lot of like not happening. Like, we're going to go out and get on climbs, and we're going to fall, and we're going to have to like work moves, and we're going to have to try other things, and we're going to have good days, and we're going to have bad days. And it's just like this, that is the journey. So I might as well like really enjoy that and really just like always be tapping into the desire of it, because I don't think discipline is the answer. So that is what I'm working on. I've seen a term thrown around social media about being locked in for 2025. And I'm like really resonating with that, because that is the energy I feel like I'm approaching life right now, is like, I just feel really locked into committing to this identity shift, this new thing that I really want to create in my life, and like taking myself seriously, taking the goal seriously, being really focused. Instead of just, I think there can be this end of year energy where you're just like, well, the beginning of the year didn't go how I wanted, so it is what it is. Like, I just want to propose the idea of like, what would it look like for you to like get excited about something that you could maybe like be locked in for the rest of 2025 that has a lot of strong desire behind it, that pushes you forward, all of those things. So just sit with that question, use my example as some inspiration potentially. And yeah, you don't like have to have all of this stuff figured out. You don't have to know the how. Think about what you're most curious about, what you'd love to step into. That is what my clients have been doing. We just wrapped up our last call in our Adventurous Reinvention Experience. If you're curious about that program, I will make sure to link it in the show notes. Or I think you can also find it at shedreamsofalpine.com/ARE. But yeah, I'm excited to see where they're going. A lot of my clients are working on their own possibilities or identity shifts that they're working on. And it's an exciting time, and it can be an exciting time. Also, I just wanted to mention just lightly, if like me talking about climbing has gotten you kind of excited about, some of my clients are like, I never really imagined myself being a climber, but like the way you talk about it, it's quite exciting and I'd like to explore that. We do have a Joshua Tree retreat for March of 2026 opening up for enrollment soon in October. And that is a really great like first touch point, especially if you're newer to climbing. We have climbers of all levels join us in that trip, but we do also get a lot of beginners. It's great for wherever you're looking for. If you would like to experience it, that is a good trip and opportunity to kind of explore your curiosity around rock climbing. So I will link a link to our waitlist for that as well, if you're climbing curious, because for me, it's been like one of the biggest joys and like passions in my life, alongside like hiking and backpacking and all of those things. So super excited for what's ahead. I hope that maybe this little behind the scenes episode has given you some inspiration to kind of think about what that could look like for you and what is calling you forward, just to have a little bit of fun with the end of the year and maybe feel really excited about pursuing something. So if you want to talk about it more, feel free to reach out to me on my Instagram at shedreamsofalpine. I'm happy to chat with you about any of the things. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you next week. Bye. Hey, I wanted to thank you real quick for tuning into the show and listening all the way to the end. If you love this episode and you want deeper support in becoming a safe, confident, and self-sufficient hiker and backpacker, then head over to shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist to learn more about our Backpacking Badass coaching program, where I teach you absolutely everything you need to know to be self-reliant on the trails and stop waiting around on others for the adventure invite. So I'd love to help you more in your journey of stepping into your adventurous identity, and that program is the absolute best place for us to start working together. So again, that's shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist, and you can learn all about it there. So that's it for today, folks. I hope you get to spend some time outside this week, and I'll be back very soon with a brand new episode. Bye.